Hey guys, check it out. You're watching Jonathan Clarke on YouTube. Oh no! So if you are a fan of Descendants of Zombies watching this video, you probably heard all the rumors about Descendants of Zombies Camp Rock Worlds Collide Tour Leg 2 happening in the fall of 2026. I want to encourage the future of this tour because there are so many people who are trying to take away your hopes for this tour ever happening. People are saying this tour is blowing up in the face of Disney. People are feeling really discouraged because reportedly their favorite stars are not going to be involved in this tour. My question is, if they're not going to be involved in it, who is? And who is going to be involved in this tour that is going to give us hope for a future that has everything to do with Descendants of Zombies? You guys, what it comes down to is what you believe in. And if you support your favorite stars, if you believe they're going to have involvement, I think that deserves to be encouraged. And that's all I've ever wanted to be a part of. Saying something nice about Kylie, saying something nice forever about Freya, Malia Baker, Ruby Rose Turner, who I know whose time was very short-lived with the Descendants franchise, but she will forever and always have a special place in my heart as my favorite Descendants character for how she inspired me to believe that kindness really takes a person further in this lifetime, as they all did. Because their friendships meant more to them than anything else in the world, and that's what made this such an enjoyable experience for me. Seeing their friendships put on display both in front of the camera and often behind the camera, because they were always taking selfies with each other. They were incredibly supportive of each other, and I could never seem to get enough of it. Because no matter who we are, we all want that one special friend in our life that we can tell everything to, that we can call anytime, day or night. That no matter what's bothering us, we can get off our chests by having conversations with them until 3 o'clock in the morning. There's always that one friend who never quits on us, who's forever and always loyal to us, and is there for us every step of the way. We've all experienced this, even if we only just have one friend in our lifetime. It's a friend that we've always and forever wanted to be there for us. And that's what we saw put on display with the friendships that we saw from Descendants of Zombies from the very beginning of it. The stories of Dove Cameron and Sophia Carson, the stories of Kylie Cantrell and Ruby Rose Turner and Malia Baker. I've loved sharing these stories with you and telling you guys how I felt about Descendants of Zombies because this really was a life-changing experience for me. Not just because I got to share with you my story about how I was a fan, but how I had the chance to meet each and every one of you. And I offered my own contribution to Descendants of Zombies. And over a decade ago, I had no idea how I was ever going to do it, how I was ever going to come off as a guy who loved Descendants of Zombies with all of his heart. And I had many conversations with my friends before I ever did this. And they said, just put your heart in behind every video that you ever upload. And people will subscribe to you, the subs will roll in. And lo and behold, after taking their advice, after having many phone conversations late at night with them, that's exactly what happened. You guys saw something special in every video that I ever created. And I had a lot of really crazy friends that were often really fun to be around. I had a friend who was very into science projects and blowing stuff up in his bedroom every night. I had a friend who loved horror movies. I had a friend who loved pro wrestling. And I've told you a lot of funny stories about how we used to get together on Sunday nights and we used to watch the pay-per-views that used to be $50 on satellite years ago because I was the only guy who ever had a satellite dish. So when it comes to experiencing live concert events, this is the one guy who knows everything about that. I've attended many concert performances in my lifetime. I've seen the best of them come and go and be showcased through the years. And I had the honor of being a part of something so special. I had the honor of being a part of seemingly every generation of Disney. So when it came to the era where Disney was priding itself on original animation, I was a part of it. I was there too. I experienced the rise in popularity of movies such as Aladdin and Hercules that went all the way from Aladdin and Hercules to eventually Tangled and Frozen and Phineas and Ferb. We were all a fan of Phineas and Ferb and Tangled. The more that I think about it, who out there isn't a fan of 104 days of summer vacation and what you can do in those 104 days of summer vacation, or a princess that uses her hair to climb out of her tower and showcase such an appreciation of life through her emotions, her love for animals, her love for people. And that's what I saw in the cast of Descendants of Zombies, was a love for people. People who made them a profound success, because they never imagined they would be the profound successes that they are today. But it goes back to your guys' contributions and how much you believe in this franchise, so much so that you would spend hundreds of dollars on hoodies, hundreds of dollars on dolls. And many of you are really excited about the upcoming toy deal with Mattel and Disney to produce even more Descendants of Zombies action figures and dolls. It's going to be really cool in 2026, 2027. This franchise is expanding. It's not ending. And I have to put that out there. I have to let you guys know that this franchise is forever expanding. It's always seeing expansions, new characters being introduced. So if you've ever believed in anything, I think Descendants of Zombies gives us something, anything at all to believe in. Because no matter who we are, we're all a fan of fairy tales. We're all a fan of Disney princesses. Now, I know there is the scattered individual who has a very different opinion about Disney princesses. But to be honest with you guys, I've loved them. From the very first moment I saw Beauty and the Beast back in 1991, I thought the animation was incredible. The concept of Beauty and the Beast was nothing short of phenomenal. It was truly breathtaking. And the story between Belle and Beast was a story that I couldn't help but fall head over heels in love with. That was one of my first VHS tapes in my VHS collection of the Disney Masterpiece Collection back in the early 90s. So basically what they did, for those of you who don't know, is they took all of Disney's classics and they redistributed them on VHS years after they were originally released, and they were remastered, and I loved it. And then many years later came the Blu-ray compilations of it, like Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast, and they were so celebrated after like 50 years since their release, and I had a chance to be a part of it. But I remember how people felt about the Beauty and the Beast story, and they never really wanted to give it much of a chance. So you can kind of compare the story of Descendants of Zombies to the story of Beauty and the Beast. Nobody wanted to give this one much of a chance because of how Beast treated Belle. I think that way too many people looked at the way that Beast treated Belle early in the movie because he had a misunderstanding of what Belle wanted out of life. Belle wanted to show him a greater appreciation for who he was as a person, and he shouldn't come down hard on people for what happened to him. He was just learning from his mistakes, and boy did the Beast ever learn from his mistakes. Robbie Benson did a phenomenal job of the Beast's voice. I always wanted to be the voice of the Beast years ago when I was a fan of Disney's original classics, but I never had the opportunity to. I really appreciated their story, while others didn't really want to give it much of a chance, and I still do many years later. I'm a huge fan of Disney princesses, and it's beyond me why people have felt differently about Disney princesses and their portrayals for years, and I know there are people who will say this and who will say that, but they are tales as old as time. And I'm not just saying that because they are. I'm saying that because that's the reality of life. They are tales as old as time. They are forever cherished, and Disney princesses are the characters that have represented these stories. Because for every story there needed to be a princess, and so too did there need to be a prince, as there needed to be a villain to create controversy. There always had to be a protagonist and an antagonist to bring a story to life. And I found time in appreciating that. Now, this is coming from a guy who studied fairy tales and folk literature for many, many years. And I remember being that one guy in the class in the study periods that always had a greater appreciation to take away from the play productions or the story rights that he had a chance to be a part of, because I saw so much creative energy in them, and I believed in them with all of my heart and soul. And now many years later, I'm one of the top YouTube content creators, and certainly one of the most revered and celebrated and honored because of how I can tell these stories. I've often been left wondering why this YouTube channel has become everybody's favorite Descendants of Zombies YouTube channel of all time, and the more that I think about it, the reason is behind how I tell this story, because I tell this story very differently from other content creators who have attempted, and I say attempted very lightly all the time, to tell this story, because in order to tell this story, you've got to have a greater appreciation for Descendants of Zombies. You just can't say, hey everybody, my name is such and such a person, and this is how I feel about Descendants of Zombies, without ever taking the chance and the opportunity to tell them your story, because when you tell them your story, you're letting them know who you are and how you feel about a product such as Descendants of Zombies. Now, you feel about somebody quite like Collie Control. I was never afraid to let the world know how I felt about Collie Control. I was very to the point about how I felt about Collie Control. She was someone who was overflowing with talent, who just wanted a chance to be seen and heard by more people than ever before. And 750,000 subscribers later on YouTube, she became just that. So too did Freya Sky with another 750,000 subscribers. But you know something? Numbers have never really told me anything about these superstars. What's told me everything about these superstars for who they were as people were the fun times they had with each and every one of you, because they got to share in something so special. And they really brought events like the Stars Align World Tour, more recently, and the Worlds Collide Tour to life. So how can you have the Worlds Collide Tour without them? That remains to be seen. And we don't even know if the Worlds Collide Tour is going to go off without them. I can't see it happening without them, because their contributions will forever and always be remembered and cherished and celebrated and honored. And that's the one thing I wanted to do on this YouTube channel, was honor it with each and every one of you. I never wanted to honor it alone. I wanted to honor it with each and every one of you, because the only hope a content creator on YouTube ever has is that somebody's going to run their finger across their subscribe button for the stories they share and the stories they have in their heart that they want to let you guys know about. You know, there's never a day that goes by that I don't have a story to share with you guys about how I collect stuffies, and I believe in Descendants of Zombies with all of my heart. I always have a funny story to tell you about a soda plantation or a chemical plant that could explode at any given moment, or how I believe a zombie apocalypse is going to happen more than anything else in the world. Even though those stories sound silly, they some way or somehow put a smile on everybody's face, because you had better believe that a zombie apocalypse could be more apparent than ever before, given the fact that there are more people zombieing out there than I believe is ever given credit for. Because you notice how people never pay any attention to what you're talking about or text you back in a conversation, and then you say to yourself, just as fast as you can snap your fingers like that, they gots to be zombie, because they're not paying attention to what I'm even talking about. But you know something? That's never any reflection on you, because somebody's not paying you the attention you deserve or feels differently about your opinions on life. The thing is, that's what creates diversity, because when you really think about it, if everybody was the same and they shared the same opinions, the world would be a pretty boring place. It's the same analogy as if I stopped talking. In those brief 3 seconds that I didn't say anything, what does that ever tell you about me? It really tells me nothing about me and really serves no purpose. But if you keep talking about how your favorite Disney princess was Aurora, and you thought Aurora was the most beautiful name for a Disney princess to have, or Bella's story about how she loved to read books and always used to climb to the top rung of the ladder at the highest bookshelf of the library just to get that one book that she'd read over 100 times and check it out again and take it home so excited to show it to her father, that's what you appreciate about Disney princesses, are these characteristics that bring them to life. You know, we can talk about stories that have been represented through the years like Hercules and Hades. Ever before that story was told, Hercules was just thought of a guy that picked Olympus up over his head because he was really super strong and he threw it into outer space, to infinity and beyond, Buzz Lightyear like. But then Hades shows up in 1997's reiteration of Hercules, and we all had a greater appreciation for Tate Donovan's portrayal of this. And James Wood is the voice of Hades. He was perfectly infuriating. I never forgot that quote. It's one of my favorite quotes of a Disney villain in many, many years. And yes, I would be lying to you if I told you that Hercules and Aladdin were some of my favorite Disney characters of all time, because their stories were so phenomenally represented. I love the love story of Aladdin and Jasmine. They are still a part of my Disney Infinity action figure collection. They are always on my Disney Infinity pod. And yes, I know 2013 is forever ago, but I still play Disney Infinity. I think it's one of the coolest video games ever created. I think that the Descendants of Zombies dolls are some of the most fabulous merch ever released, and maybe that's just coming from a guy who always wanted to have his own teddy bear or his own action figure. I would love to have my own teddy bear with probably 15 action phrases. If ever the opportunity comes for Disney to call Jonathan Clarke, offering him the chance to be a part of the Descendants franchise, I'm taking full advantage of it, because I want to bring this franchise to life. I want to contribute something unlike anybody has ever contributed to it before, and that's a lot of heart and dedication. Now, I know there's been a lot of heart and dedication from the previous cast members, but in order to bring a franchise such as this to life, you've really got to have a tremendous amount of heart and dedication put behind your role and your dedication to the franchise. And if there's ever been an exemplification of dedication to this franchise, it's coming from Jonathan Clarke and each and every single person who has ever subscribed here, who has ever believed in me spending $100 on a huge life-size Mario Stuffy or a Winnie the Pooh, which I was crazy enough to do because I think the world of you guys for subscribing here to this YouTube channel. And you're saying to yourself, hey, Jonathan Clarke, man, thank you so much for having the coolest Descendants of Zombies YouTube channel of all time. I'm hit that subscribe button right now. Well, if you are somebody who is saying you're hitting my subscribe button at this very moment, welcome to the show. Welcome to be on this incredible journey that I've never ever wanted to be over, because I've never wanted to say goodbye to this story. And I know that you're somebody watching this video who has never wanted to say goodbye to this story either. And if you are somebody who feels forever passionate about Descendants of Zombies, I want you to know there's nothing wrong with being a fan of Descendants of Zombies and feeling the way you do about Kylie Contrell, or believing in Malia Baker with all of your heart. I believe that same way in Ruby Rose Turner, because I refused to say goodbye. I never wanted to let go. It was kind of like Jack on Titanic, you know, where he almost fell into the water, or Rose almost fell to her death, and he grabbed onto her hand and he said, trust me, I will never let you go. And I've never ever let go of Ruby Rose Turner's involvement in this franchise. I've never let go of her contributions, because I believe they were so special. And I think that if you trust in your heart that these characters have never ever wanted to say goodbye, and their stories are anything but having been told and completed, I think that's what you should continue on believing. You should continue to follow your passions, because that's how some of the greatest love stories of all time have ever been told. Is because you believe in them. You trust in them with all of your heart. And we are about to see so many beautiful things happen for Descendants and Zombies, things that we can't even describe at this moment. Because there are people who are saying that this should have happened in Descendants and Zombies that hasn't happened up to this particular point in time, but because they're saying that this has not happened does not mean that it's never going to happen. What it comes down to is how much you believe in it and you trust in the fact that there is a beautiful love story and beautiful things yet to come in franchises like Descendants and Zombies between Nova and Victor. Because the contributions of Freya Skye and Malachi Burton will be forever and always held on to. They will forever and always be celebrated, and that's what I'm here to ensure, is that the legacies of your favorite stars live on forever and always and are something special in each and every one of our hearts. Because no matter who we are, we all have a favorite character from Descendants and Zombies. I am not the only guy who loves Ruby Rose Turner as much as what he says he does. There are thousands of people, if never millions of people, who feel the same way about Ruby, and I think there is never enough encouragement offered to the fact that this is your favorite character. Because no matter who we are, we don't necessarily have to have a specific reason why they're our favorite character. All we have to tell everybody is that this is our favorite character for the reasons that we state. And you never really have to have a reason. You just say, okay, my favorite character is Red. And when somebody asks you, you just say, I don't know, Red's my favorite character because Red is just a beautiful person. That's all you ever have to offer anybody in terms of an explanation. Because there are people who are fans of this franchise, who have forever been fans of this franchise, who have forever remained loyal to it because that's all they've ever known. Because many people grew up on Descendants of Zombies. Many of you watching these videos are perhaps only 7 years old, and I'm just using this as an example. So because you're 7 years old and you're watching this video, all you've ever known is that you grew up on Descendants of Zombies. You grew up on these beautiful characters. And the one thing that I've noticed about these 30-second teaser trailer reviews is nobody takes the time to really appreciate how beautiful they are and their contributions. And I believe until more people do that, the greater appreciation will never be realized. It will never be attained. Because when it is attained, it is something to be very appreciative of. Kind of like this YouTube channel and how this YouTube channel has been represented and stories been told through the years. This YouTube channel has been represented so phenomenally and so significantly forever and always because for some reason, this YouTube channel has held a very special place in the hearts of thousands, if never millions of people who watch these videos. There are people who are so excited for the next Jonathan Clarke video to drop. And I feel just as excited and never more so honored to be a part of these conversations and to have these conversations with each and every one of you. Because the thing about time is we never seem to know how much time we have. We never know how long our lives are going to be. So because time is often never considered to be the most precious commodity in everybody's lifetime, the thing is because we never seem to know how much time we have, we really have to seize opportunities life presents us with and take full advantage of them. And that's exactly what your favorite stars are doing. Regardless if they're a part of the Worlds Collide Tour up and coming or they're not a part of it, there is going to be somebody who is going to be highlighted in this tour, even if it's just Liamani Segura. She will offer something special. And as far as I'm concerned, she is a beautiful person who deserves more of a chance than ever before. If the girl has a dream of performing on the stage at Madison Square Garden, then let her fulfill that dream. Agents really have to start listening to the stars more because this is what they want the most out of life for having done and accomplished. Because you only have so much time and you really have to make the most of it. And that's exactly what I've done and have the chance to be a part of because of each and every one of you. You guys have allowed me to be a part of the Descendants of Zombie soundtrack, and I have felt more than honored to have had the chance to be right here with each and every one of you front and center, sharing with you my story about how I just became a fan of it. I fell in love with it from the very first moment I watched it. It's forever and always held a very special place in my heart. That's undeniable. What the future has in store, I really don't know, but I'm excited to be a part of that with each and every one of you because no matter who we are, we all have something special to offer to this franchise. We all have something special to take away from it. And every single time, what's so amazing about this franchise is each time you hear this story, you hear it differently because everybody tells it different. And this story has been told far differently from other content creators on this channel by yours truly, and I felt more than honored to have been a part of that and shared in that with each and every one of you. Because if you can't give anybody hope out there, what can you get? What can you give them? What are you left with? So that's something for us all to think about. If you can't give anybody hope out there, what are you left with? What can you give them? How can you tell this story? Because everybody deserves a chance at second hopes, and everybody deserves a chance at, believing in this story. And the more that we bring it to life through our videos, you give more of a reason to people to hit your subscribe button and believe in your channel than perhaps more than ever before. We've got a lot to get into because this story, nor is this journey far from over, and if you would love to come along on this journey, I would love for you to come along on this journey and share your story about how you became a fan of Descendants and Zombies and to be a part of something so special. Because I had a chance to be a part of something so special because of how much each and every one of you have believed in me from the very first video that was ever created here. I had the chance to say how I felt about Descendants and Zombies, and I was accepted as a part of this niche, as a part of the soundtrack of Descendants and Zombies, and I felt more than honored to have experienced this with each and every one of you. No matter who you are, from wherever you're hearing my voice or watching this video this morning, thank you so much for having made this your favorite Descendants and Zombies YouTube channel of all time. Thank you so much for watching this video and believing in Descendants and Zombies as much as you have over this last decade, and what an incredible decade it's been. We have more to get into and more to share on this YouTube channel, and we'll get to that in due time. Thank you so much for having made this your favorite Descendants and Zombies YouTube channel of all time. Smash like if you love the stuffies, and thank you so much for having watched this video. Forever and always, it's been my honor.